Dear students, this time we have a very nice piece of work to view on. We have been very much interested in the poem entitled On His Blindness by John Milton. We already have idea enough about this poem. We have had a better just a thought to provide through the discussion on the poem today. We know that a work of art comes out under a certain context, under a certain situation. And the understanding of the work of art is dependent on the context in which it has been written. So we can say that it is better to have a look at the context in which the present poem has been written, and at the same time we should try to understand the very much interrelationship between the meaning and the intention of the poet on the one hand and context of the poem on the other. Now we find that John Milton as a poet is a genius. He is a classic personality. He has brilliant imagination. He has brilliant power of understanding life and situation. He has political and religious vision. And he has a very brilliant way of expression of the idea that he has formulated in his mind. So, this time, when we are talking about the context in which the present poem has been written, we should also have to go through the inner conscious or rather subconscious stage of mind of the poet. So I am Dr. Naveen Kumar Jha, Associate Professor in English, RAGS College Ahalya Asthan, is talking about poet's revelation. Poet himself revealed his situation. He is just going to expose the mind that is very much keeping lots of confusions. So John Milton, the poet, envisages his experience after being blind, working for the English Republic, and his religious faith. This is almost the similar situation that we people also come through. We people also have sometimes this kind of revelation to make. But we are not just trying to explore the very much inner mind where an idea is to come out. But the poet like John Milton has definitely his religious faith, his political faith, that is also given hand to through this poem. But all these things are based upon one incident in his life, that he became blind. So he lost his sight due to extensive reading and writing for his service to government. We can show that he has never compromised his loyalty to government, to religious faith, to political doctrine. We can say that he is always loyal to his ideology, to his government. Had it not been the case, he would not have been blind. Just he would have to labor hard. He would have to go through lots of reading, lots of writing to serve his government. And it is due to his excessive, extensive hard work which has resulted into his blindness. It is the first thing that he has revealed, that he became blind due to excessive reading and writing for his government. And we also come across the fact that John Milton's eyesight failed in 1644, and by 1652 he was totally blind. Now, we can say the person who is very much serious of his duty, of his work, whatever work and whatever duty he has been doing, and with whatever capacity, now is very sorry to find that his intensity of work will not be maintained due to loss of eyesight. Now, so it is what is the context. He has revealed his situation, and now we know that he is also going to reveal just some inner conflicts. But before that, we should understand that during the English Civil War, he worked under Oliver Cromwell, writing pamphlets for religious freedom. He served in Cromwell's government as Secretary for Foreign Language. When Charles II came to the throne, he was arrested in 1660, and he was secluded from the world. But he was arrested, he was secluded from the world. It means the ordinary people should have lost his faith and stamina to work on. An ordinary person against John Milton would have not been able to continue his exercise of writing. We know what a caliber he has, that he wrote epic poem Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained after his being blind. Can you think that this is possible for an ordinary people? That an ordinary people can go to the extent that he could compose 2 pieces of epic when he became totally blind? Answer is no. It is not for the common person. But this poem actually reveals his inner strength, his mental strength that he has. Otherwise, he has not been writing this poem. Why did he write this poem? What is the situation and under what context? He writes this poem under the situation that his mental agony goes to the extent that he starts feeling sorry for losing his eyesight. It is not because of the fact that he could just see this world as common people are seeing this world through eye. It is not the very common purpose for which he is sorry. He is sorry that loss of eyesight is a big hindrance to his poetic career. And just that hindrance could not stop him from writing. And it was just not simply the writing that he continues. He wrote epic. That is just a challenging work even for the person, for the poet who is physically and mentally fit. But generally it is said that the best comes when we are in strain. It is very much applied to John Milton, that his best came when he became blind. And I think that major cause is all because of his poem that we are going to talk. That you find here, he was honest in his revelation, that he exposed his mind totally before the world, writing this poem. He exposed the conflict that he was passing through. He did not try to hide his mind, his situation. He shared it. The poem is simply a response to his conflict that he was passing through. the person just could have hit his conflict out of shameful situation. Most of it we feel shameful when we are blind. We do not want to share this kind of physical inability before the world. And especially when we have got the height or excellence in the field of politics, in the field of writing, how can you accept in public that we are now blind and we are not able to write any poem? But when we are talking about an honest person like John Milton, this kind of person is not going to hide anything from the world. Everything is public. Even the internal agony is public. And it is why he has found the solution. It is why he has come to the conclusion that no, God does not want any kind of physical service from him. Rather, God wants him to wait and accept the order of the God. It is as if just what he can call solution to the agony that he was just facing. So what you find is the fact that this poem has been an exploration of our inner self. We can say that his greatest works, Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, came out because of his explorative nature, that he tried to explore his inner mind. He found that lots ought to come out, no matter he is blind. His being blind is not going to hinder his poetic progress, because he realizes that God has made for doing that kind of work. God just is expecting him to write something classic, something epic like. And so he has done a very excellent job through Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. So we can say that he is just a poetic genius after Shakespeare. And the poem is written in patriarchal style. It is just an example of patriarchal sonnet. We can be surprised to know that the poets have been writing poem or sonnets into patriarchal style to give bent to traditional love and romance. It was for that purpose the poet has chosen this patriarchal sonnet style to use. But what did John Milton do? He did not choose this style, patriarchal style, for writing any romance, writing any love poem. Rather, he has chosen it for revelation of his inner conflict. So it is what the greatest ability he is, that he can just choose any mode, any medium to express into the brilliant way. He is actually revoking the system. He is not going to accept a traditional pattern that okay, patriarchal sonnet is meant for writing love and romance, so how can we write down our inner conflict into that kind of poetic exposition? But the merit lies in the fact that he has used that sonnet style for writing his personal and very personal feeling that he did not want to keep anymore. So we can say that the poet has used this form for exploring not only his inner self, but also exploring the relationship with God. This poem is an exploration of the relationship which exists between God and human being. And the poem has just become just a personal one when we start it. But the moment we come to the final part of the poem, we find that it is not personal. It does not remain any longer personal. It becomes common. It is applicable to all, no matter who we are. Here I is John Milton in the beginning, but here I becomes Dr. Naveen Kumar Jha also. Here I becomes everyone of this world. So it is where the greatest success is from the very just individual experience. He had made a very just what we can common and just a social experience and collective experience of the people. We cannot say that whatever revelation is here in this poem is only of John Milton. This revelation is helpful for all of us when we find ourselves unable to do any work that we desire to do. We are desirous to do one particular kind of thing, but most often you find that we are stopped from doing that kind of thing. Not only because of physical inability, by any reason. We think ourselves unable to realize our work. In this situation, we think that, oh, now our life is in vain. We now any longer just have no work to do. We find ourselves very much crippled. Our mind is crippled, our heart is crippled, and we stop ourselves. We pause ourselves at that time. But it is not true to John Milton. He thinks that here he made the patience personification. He made the patience some of the problem that he is facing. Now that patience has become divine and godly, which is speaking through him. The patience has been just giving the best solution. It was the patience of John Milton, but we can say everybody has patience to listen. If you are listening our patience, it can sum up our mental trauma or agony. So it is just the ability to listen. It is just the ability to just come near our inner just a voice. Generally we are not heeding our attention to the general voice. We are not paying attention to listen what our inner voice is. It is here, but now person like John Milton is shrewd enough to listen everything. He is so sharp. His hearing power is so sharp that he listens every voice, every suggestion coming through patience. So he has made his patience personified because that tells him that okay, his idleness is useful to God if he has faith in God. Let everybody has faith in God. It is autobiographical sonnet, but it does not remain autobiographical when come to the final part of this poem. So we can say that it is his personal feeling, but it is going to be just a common feeling as well. It is going to be the feeling of all the people whosoever they are living in any corner of the world. We find that people have in some part of the life this kind of situation when they feel themselves unable to continue the service, and we are blaming God. Most often we are in blaming mood that God has prevented him from doing. Most often we hear that people are blaming God for not giving them opportunity or appropriate opportunity to translate their just talents with which they are born. We listen every now and then that okay, that God is not just to us. God is not very much what he can call just impartial to us. Just we can see so many examples when you find that there are so many weaker persons who have been given right chance to flourish themselves, and they have done excellent in society. But we think that we have been more able, we have been abler than most of the people, but we have not been given opportunity to flourish ourselves to the excellence. And here we have the revenge feeling against God. We actually just criticize God for being dishonest. But see the belief of John Milton. John Milton does not have any kind of blame against God. He does not have any kind of criticism against God, that God has snatched what he can call eyesight, and so he became just blind, and he is no longer going to write any poem. No, this kind of repentance we do not find anywhere. It is not a repentance any longer that you find in this poem. Rather, it is just an exploration. And if we have explorative mood, we try to explore out of the situation that you are in crippled. We find certain way out. The positive comes out when we are explorative. When we stop blaming someone for our situation and we try to explore the actual region, we find that region is within, and just therefrom we can come out and we can done the excellent, the best that we have never thought of. John Milton has never thought of that he is just going to write Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained after his being blind. So it is what? The marvelous capacity is within us. In all situations, we can say our talent can be utilized if we have faith in God. If we have believed in the order of the God, that whatever just situation God has presented before us, it is just to convert our talent into reality. And it is what John Milton has done here. He has accepted the order of God, that okay, he is physically unable, but his talent must not go wasted. And so he has all belief in God. And having belief in God has increased his power, his capacity for writing the classic pieces of work like Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. So it is here the context has been described to you, and I can think that it is very much lessonful, and you people should take lesson from the context and try to change our life completely as John Milton has done for himself. So don't be worried of anything, no matter how critical situation you are in. We should have faith in, or we should have belief in God, and we find that God shows the way. God shows the true path to follow up. God is just kind to all. God is merciful to all. God does not make any justice to anybody else. It is our negative thought that we start criticizing God when we find some problems in our life. No, it is not always the fact that we'll be kept into the safer position. We will not be given only opportunity, and we think that we should only be given opportunity at the cost of other. Yes, it is here we are just what selfish, and we try to think of ourselves. God has to run this whole world. God has to give chance to all the people. God is not only merciful and should not be merciful to us here. So sometimes it happens in the life that we find that we are not in safer situation, and somebody is in more just what you can call better position, and we get lost, we get disheartened. This is what is negativism. This is what has marred our talent. And John Milton did not agree to this principle. And so, understanding this kind of just relationship that exists between John Milton and God, he wrote very much classic words that we have discussed. So, we think that it is enough for us to light on this kind of context, and I think that I should give my thanks to you also for listening. Thank you.